We got red flag conditions here in Jacksonville Beach, but that's not really the big story today. The big story are the dunes.
It was crazy to me, like a whole dock just gone in a matter of seconds.
As far as I know, no type of flooding, not a drop of water inside, so we're good to go.
It's just simply amazing that 2 days ago we was going through what we was going through, and today is like picture perfect.
Well, the sky may look picture perfect, but at the ground level, the picture might not be so ideal.
People across the First Coast and across Florida are picking up the pieces today after Nicole, and we have live team coverage for you on this Friday, getting a look at the damage left behind.
But first, we want to take a look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Tim Deegan. Tim, fortunately, that storm's gone. It is out of here. So what can we expect tonight and this weekend?
Let's take a real quick look. You know, it may have seemed like a long and winding road, but really, Nicole covered this ground pretty quickly. And as Heather mentioned, out of here. Technically, this is the last advisory on Nicole. It's located about 200 miles southwest of Pittsburgh. And unfortunately for our friends in the Appalachians, Nicole has been productive there, producing flash flooding and even some tornadoes off to its east and to its southeast. We talked over the last couple of days that once Nicole turned northeast, we'd actually look to the Gulf. It sent us some showers. There's some storms, but those thunderstorms are heading away from us. The clouds are decreasing. We may have some pretty nice colors out there for those of you that like to check out the sunset skies as brightness is coming in from the west. Of course, the fair is opening up. Other things going on. Bottom line, just a breeze. Not going to say gusty once the sun sets. Drying out, and temperatures not too bad, about 70. You say you'd rather it be cooler? We'll take a look. There's a cool front on the way.
Thank you, Tim. Well, as the daylight came up, it gave us a better look at the damage left behind by Tropical Storm Nicole. And tonight, we want to start in St. Augustine. The city's waterfront frequently floods when a tropical storm comes in.
And while those floodwaters come and go, we know it's caused some damage to one of the biggest attractions of the year for the nation's oldest city. We want to check in now with our Jessica Clark. Jessica, how are things looking today?
Well, you know, when you look at the plaza here in downtown St. Augustine, this is what you see, some low-hanging lights. These are usually a lot higher in the big, beautiful oak trees, and these are up in anticipation of Nights of Lights starting next Saturday. And you know, these are all connected to the systems that then have them all spread out, and it's just such a lovely sight. But you can see some of them are low-lying. There's still some that are on the ground from yesterday's storm system. This is the obvious impact from the storm. But if you look further around the plaza, the less obvious impact is to the electrical system. And I spoke with one of the men who has been putting out the lights for, gosh, 2 decades now. See these low-sitting boxes that are really the electrical outlets? Well, he says a lot of them were just inundated with salt water, as well as some of the lights that were actually in the bushes just covered with water. He says they're going to have to really do a lot of work to get ready in 1 week, which usually takes him months to do, to get ready for Nights of Lights Light Up Night, which is the 19th of November. But he says, without a doubt, even though he will be working around the clock, and a lot of other folks will be too, Nights of Lights Light Up Night will take place. Live in St. Augustine, Jessica Clark, First Coast News on your side.
Wow, that's good news, Jess. Thank you. Well, the 6-mile-long stretch of A1A in St. Johns County is now reopened. That road washed out and broken up by the water, the sand, and the wind during Tropical Storm Nicole. Crews patched it up. They tell us that it is safe to drive on. However, this is only a temporary fix until the permanent repairs can be made.
And the Ribault River pushed water into some homes along Ken Knight Drive on Jacksonville's north side. This is a neighborhood that has been dealing with flooding issues for years. And on your sides, Zach Wilcox was there today as people returned to their homes to see what Nicole left behind.
Well, folks along Ken Knight Drive deal with flooding daily, almost. I mean, these puddles near the park and in the park, they're here all the time, whether there's a hurricane or not. And it's got some folks feeling here after yet another hurricane pushing all that water in, wondering if more could be done.
It was pretty high. It came all the way up to the last step just before coming in the house. I was fortunate.
Fortunate is the word Leroy Bradley uses to describe himself, despite having water fill his yard and flood his driveway. because he knows what his neighbors are going through just up the street.
Maybe dredging could help, or building a wall to stop the water from coming in.
I asked City Councilman Matt Carlucci about that dredging solution, and he says it'd be expensive, would take a lot of permitting and red tape. He said if the city were to look into something like that, it'd probably be at some of the tributaries that feed the Ribault River rather than the river itself. While he waits for action, Bradley is grateful the neighborhood around him helps each other through each and every storm.
Gave me their boots and everything so that I could walk out and go where I needed to go.
The city of Jacksonville and FEMA already set aside $5 million to buy out a bunch of homes in Ken Knight Drive and make the area green space, and that was several years ago. However, Carlucci tells me that a lot of the folks living in the homes on Ken Knight Drive, well, they're renters. So when they're dealing with out-of-state owners who don't want to sell, who aren't living in the flooding conditions all the time, it's not exactly speeding up the process. On the north side, Zach Wilcox, First Coast News, on your side.
Let's go a little further south now to Putnam County, where flooding from Tropical Storm Nicole caused significant flooding in Willaca after it was just hit really hard with flooding as a result of Hurricane Ian. Alden German is there now and joins us with an update. Alden?
Hey, good evening. We're here in Willaca, and I'm actually joined now by Mayor Jamie Watts, who's been very busy since Nicole started coming through, going through the neighborhood, and it's specifically the neighborhood of Sportsman Harbor that's dealing with this sewer problem. So, Mayor, kind of run through what exactly this area has been dealing with.
So we've been dealing with flooding ever since Hurricane Ian come through, and the river was about an inch higher than it currently was when the first storm come through, and you can see the flooding behind me. We've got as much as 3 and 4 feet of water as you go back further back into the neighborhood down there, and it's been very challenging, and it doesn't look like it's going to recede anytime soon.
How long do you think it might take until the water recedes out of here?
They were saying that before this storm that it was going to take until after Thanksgiving. It could be after Christmas now before we see it completely recede back. It's coming down faster than it was before, but it could be every bit of Christmas before it's completely receded back.
And because of how the sewer system is designed, you guys have just had to shut it off for this area. Otherwise, it would have been backing up into everyone's homes and into the river. So what exactly have you been doing for the residents here?
Well, our friends from the Florida Division of Emergency Management, we called them last night. They sent a team out of Fort Myers, and we have hot shower units and restrooms up at the top of the hill. We're actually going door to door with these flyers, and we're passing them out to the community because letting them know, first of all, the system is shut down and why the system is shut down, to please go up to the top of the hill. And then we have showers and restrooms. We even have ADA for wheelchairs that go up there as well. And we're going to keep them for as long as the system is down. We're going to do that. The nice thing about the system is it is partitioned off with valves. So as the water recedes, we can start to turn a street at a time back on. It will slowly restore the system. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, very much. So this is just kind of, we were talking to one neighbor earlier who was saying this is just kind of what you have to deal with when you're living in this part of the area, in a low-lying area and next to the St. Johns River. We'll hear from some of those neighbors coming up later on this evening. For now, live in Willaca, Alden German, First Coast News.
Wow, flooding not expected to recede there until around Christmas. Well, the area seeing some of the worst damage from Nicole is Daytona Beach. Portions of homes falling into the ocean, getting washed away with the tide. And that's where we find On Your Side's Taylor Levesque live tonight. And Taylor, I know you spoke with some people living there who say they've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, that was one thing we heard from a lot of people today. There's tons of people behind us right now just looking, taking a sight at what is behind us. We are just surrounded by destruction. I am standing on what looks like used to be somebody's backyard patio, but I want to show you what's behind us. These are houses. We're specifically on Port Orange. These houses here on Port Orange sit directly on the beach. Now, you're looking at a pool that looks like it was cracked in half and has just fallen down the side. Majority of these houses sit on just feet of elevation, but as you can see, that is no longer there. I also want to point out behind me, there's a bathtub just hanging down the side of this cliff along with the roof of a lot of these homes. Just massive, massive destruction. We spoke to one resident here of Daytona Beach. She just came out today to see the destruction, and she says after this storm and the few storms we've had in the past, she's thinking about moving out of Florida.
We're from up north originally. We've had 3 blizzards back to back, and I told my husband, I says, I'm done. We're moving to Florida. Well, after 11 years here with all these hurricanes, I'm like, we're moving again. This time we're moving to Tennessee.
And you're serious about it
Yes,
because
we
of
are.
the severity of the storm?
Yes, yes. Every year it seems like the storms are getting worse every year. I guess maybe they say global warming, climate change. I'm not taking any more chances. So next year we're gonna pack up.
Another thing I want to point out is these homes sit on feet of elevation away from the water, but they're also protected by seawalls. This is what looks like was one of those seawalls completely just in the ground, devastated, and this is what caused a majority of the damage to this house. Was the water was able to make it over, just complete destruction. We talked to some more residents. We're looking to talk to some more tonight just about the devastation, but it's a sight to see here in Daytona Beach, and crazy what this storm did. But we'll send it back to you.